Everybody knows a show needs an intro. This is that intro. I am Fisher, your host. Welcome to Monday. My guest today is Gailey Hanna, and she is the author of The Modern Girl's Guide to Internet Dating. All right, so I got to work on that. How are you doing? Welcome to the show.
Doing great. How are you?
Good. Welcome, Ian, Maribel, Matthew, Matt. Welcome to the Wake.Show today, and also the sponsor for the first 15 minutes of the Wake.Show, and that is Single Source Insurance. And thank you so much for Single Source Insurance being a part of what we do here, and to you guys too, giving them a call, giving them a try. And you know, as far as money goes, they're going to be right there with everybody else. But where they excel, where they separate themselves from the so-called big guys in the insurance game when it comes to car, house, boat, whatever, is when you actually need them. And that's really important for those of you who've ever been through the process. It can be very frustrating, and you want somebody on the other end that is not just trying to get you off the phone as fast as they can, fill out their paperwork, and go home for the day. So give Single Source Insurance a call. Check them out online. Get a quote, singlesourceins.com. Let's find out a little bit more about our guest and get into some of the issues of the day, because one thing I did not realize is that our guest today is, what would you consider yourself, new agey?
Probably, yeah.
All right. She sat down, started talking. She even got crystals with her today.
Yeah.
All right. What kind?
Crystals right here.
All right. So first of all, let's learn a little bit about who you are. You are an author, and you have a book, The Modern Girl's Guide to Internet Dating and Other Acts of Debauchery by Gailey Hanna. All right. So tell me a little bit about this book, real quick. Like, when did it come out and all that good stuff?
It came out about 4 years ago, and I decided to write it after I appeared on Oprah's Life class about dating. And being single myself, I know there's a lot of issues and different things that we face.
You appeared on Oprah's what?
She has a thing. Well, she did have a show called Life Class.
Okay. Is this on her own, or her new OWN network? Or?
Yeah, it was on OWN. And this particular segment featured Greg Barrett, who wrote the book He's Just Not That Into You.
Okay.
And his wife, and it was going to be about dating. So this was going to be new for Oprah because they were streaming it live, and they wanted everybody tweeting and online, and then they were going to show it on the network later. So I was super excited to meet Oprah.
And then what happened?
Well, then I got up to Chicago and got to the show, and I had never been on TV at all and didn't really know anything about what happens. So the producer was telling me, you know, we don't want you looking like a deer in the headlights when Oprah speaks to you, so we're going to go over the question a little bit. So I was to say something to the effect of, when she calls my name, I stand up and I say, "Hi, Oprah. I have a question that I'm sure a lot of the other ladies are wondering, and we wanted to ask. Is it possible to start a healthy relationship with a man if you sleep with them too soon, like on the first date?" And then she was going to say something else to me, and I was to say something to the effect of, you know, I admit I have done it before in my life and it did not work out, so we want to get a man's perspective. So I thought, you know, that's okay, that's the truth, so I'm honest, I don't mind saying that. So anyway, I'm really super excited, and Oprah's sitting there in front of me. I couldn't believe she's sitting there and she's going to speak to me. And I get ready to stand up when she calls me, and she says, "Gail in our audience says she frequently sleeps with men on the first date." Yeah. And, you know, of course, I'm standing up at this point, and I shook my hand and I said, no, Oprah, that is not at all what I said.
You shook a finger, Oprah?
I gave her the finger, but it was my pointer finger only.
Okay.
Yeah, anyway, so this was all being shown live on the internet, and so I had some people texting me and stuff like, "Yeah, you stood up to Oprah, and that's great." So
stood up to Oprah?
Yeah. Well, I didn't like how she asked me the question because I didn't say that.
Do you think she did it on purpose? Do you think she threw you that curveball to get that emotional reaction, or it just kind of came out the wrong way, or she misknew the question?
Well, it's her show and her network, so I find that a little hard to believe. And then the events that ensued afterward let me know that she knew very well what she was doing.
Okay.
The producer ended up calling me a few days later because they're going to put it together and put it on her network. And he explained to me they needed to edit it. And he said, "You know, you did really great. We're going to use you on most of the show, but we just need to cut out the one part where you disagreed with Miss Winfrey. It just doesn't look good." And after a lengthy conversation, you know, I agreed, and I said, "Okay, I'll let you do that, but if you make me look bad, in any way, I am going to sue you, and I'm not the least bit afraid of Oprah.
Really?
Yeah. So.
Okay. So you were concerned the way that she phrased the question, that she was trying to paint you as somebody who is always out there sleeping
like
with
a
men.
butana.
Okay. Like a what?
Yeah, a butana. And I used the word whore with him, and I said, if you make me look like a whore, I am going to sue you. So
oh, geez.
The show's coming on. I'm telling everybody, watch me on Oprah. And everybody was watching, and they edited it all right and made me look even worse. And they showed the back of my head, and it looked like I was waving. So Oprah says, Gail says she frequently sleeps with men on the first date. And I'm going, oh. Then they cut to some other part where I'm going, oh, yeah, you're just really feeling it sometimes, which had nothing to do with that question. Anyway, I looked terrible. And
so then what'd you do? Did you sue him?
Well, I called, of course, the next day, and I emailed the producer. I'm like, Dan, we have a huge problem. You did the polar opposite of what you promised. So, I cried on the phone, and I really did feel terrible. Not only that they made me look so bad, but it was Oprah, and like, why would she do that? And she knew about it, obviously, because I corrected her immediately. Yet she still agreed to all this editing stuff. So anyway, he basically told me that sex sells, and that's the way it goes, and too bad. And I did contact a couple of attorneys, but everyone's afraid of Oprah because she has so much money. The end.
And, and in the end, I'm sorry that you went through that. I'm sorry you felt that angst, that you weren't in control of your own brand at the time. But in the end, as somebody who's been in the media for a very long time, that moment came and went before anybody even knew. And
and it did inspire me to write my book. So that was the bonus that came out of it.
Oh, I thought you were probably on her show because of the book.
No, I was thinking about writing it, and then that kind of just propelled me into actually doing it.
All right, we'll come back and touch on some of the things that's in your book throughout the show. I do want to talk about some of the issues today. Yes. But we'll start with a story that you are connected to, and that is coming out of Los Angeles. This Dine and Dash dater. Now, by the way, I'm at WFLA.com right now, so this is locally the story, although it came out of L.A. It's about this guy, if you guys want to look at your screen real quickly. So this guy here is a smooth criminal in Los Angeles, is being called the Dine and Dash, Dine and Dash dater, after leaving several women with restaurant bills. One of the victims, who did not want to be identified, told CNN affiliate KCAL that she met Paul Gonzalez on a dating app and went to dinner with him. He ordered a salad with shrimp, filet mignon. Yeah, he went all out. After dinner, the woman says Gonzalez had 2 cups of coffee and said he was worried about his sick aunt. All of a sudden, he's all, oh, my charger, my phone's dying, and I'm waiting on a call from my mom about my aunt. Gonzalez told her he was going to charge his car, but the woman said he never came back, or charge his phone in his car. Never came back, leaving her with a $130 bill. So he's done this multiple times, and you were somebody he did this to.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
And I know.
I'm sorry to laugh. That's effed up. That is effed up.
I know.
Laughing. So what dating app did you meet this guy on?
It was Plenty of Fish.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. We all know about that one. And
I don't. I'm a married man, so I don't know what you're talking
lucky. So we were communicating on the site. I did everything the opposite of what I would normally do because I just decided to be spontaneous this day. Because this guy messages me on the site and says, hey, do you want to meet for dinner? And, I was all dressed up. I had just gotten done with an audition, and I thought, sure.
Okay.
Nobody ever asked me out to dinner. I'm going to go. So I got to drive all the way to Pasadena. It's like, an hour away, and traffic, and you got to pay for this ridiculous parking. And I'm going to a BJ's, which I've never been to. And anyway, I walk in, and I see the guy. I'm walking from behind. He stands up. He's real short. He's a little bit cross-eyed, and he's got a squeaky voice. And I thought, oh, my gosh. My instincts were telling me to leave. And I thought, no, you're just being a bitch, and you're being superficial. Don't leave. Just sit here with the guy. It'll be all right. Give him a chance.
You got to give, because you're being rude.
Give him a chance.
You're judging him based on his height and squeaky voice and crossed eyes.
No, follow your barometer inside.
I know, but what if your barometer's,
Well, if you're not a superficial person, it's different. Right. But, I was thinking on that level. So anyway, he's already got food in front of him. And he's eaten 2 appetizers, and he's got all this food coming. And I'm like, wow, what's going on here? So he said, go ahead and order something if you want. So I did. And, he ate like 3 appetizers, a main course, a salad, and he was on his coffee. Did you guys play any
video games? Isn't BJ's one of those places with all those games?
No.
No. Oh, no, I'm thinking of Dave and Buster's. Never mind.
Yeah, that would have been more fun. Yeah, we played a game all right. Anyway, so he says, he starts texting wildly, and he's looking at me and goes, yeah, and he goes, hold on, don't let them take the rest of my salad and my coffee. I'm going to use the restroom. Again, my instincts said, he's going to leave.
Oh, really?
I thought,
you
no,
felt it?
Who's going to, come on, that's ridiculous. So I'm sitting there 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and I'm thinking, well, he ate so much food. Maybe he's having a problem in there. I don't know. I've never experienced anything. So the waiter came over anyway, and I said, hey, did you happen to see that little cross-eyed guy that was sitting here with me? And he said, yeah, he was going towards the front. Did he leave? And I'm like, well, I guess so. But, this isn't cool because I literally just met this guy. Yeah, so...
So in that moment, then, are you thinking that this guy, like, set you up to dine and dash, or you're thinking things went south and he just took off? And
immediately, my self-esteem and the human me thought, oh, maybe he didn't like me. And then I slapped myself, not literally, and I said, wait a minute. This guy does this all the time. So I go to message him. He blocked me and... all that kind of stuff. Anyway,
So how long after that before you saw this article in the paper?
I tried contacting. I actually filed a police report on him, and I contacted a couple of radio and television stations out there. And my friend here in Florida actually sent me a link, and he said, "Hey, is this the same guy that you went out with?" And that's when I saw that he was doing it, and he did it also at the same restaurant more than once. So I was even thinking, like, maybe he's in cahoots with the manager or somebody, because how can you keep getting away with that? But I don't know. Yeah, he actually got his hair colored and left a salon, too, where he owes money. So lesson learned is don't be spontaneous. Check people out first. Find out if they're actually who they say they are. Do you know if they ever
caught they had to have caught this guy, right?
No, he just did it again recently.
Jeez.
Yeah, it's crazy. So anyway, hopefully, some people will see his face.
Right.
What I want to do is set him up and do a profile and have, him thinking, well, he would meet the person and then they're going to be eating, and then get up and do that to him. And we'll have the guy from like Dateline walk in.
That's funny.
When the bill comes, but. Yeah.
That is funny. My guest today is Gailey Hanna. She is an author. And what else do you do?
I do all kinds of things. I've been
what's your 9 to 5? You're
hairstylist.
Hairstylist, right? Where do you do hair?
Right now, I'm kind of in between things. I work at a salon in Clearwater part-time called Salon Andrade.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you're wondering what the hell she's doing in here, so Chris McCarty doesn't come in on Mondays. He's here Tuesday through Friday, and so that leaves my Mondays open. So one of the things I'm going to do is have a different guest host. How did you pick her, Fish? Great question, viewer. We were just going back and forth on Messenger, and I don't even remember, to be honest with you. Was it when I was looking for a guest host last week? You said, "Hey, sorry, if I would have known, I would have, or if I was off, I would have come." Was that how it began?
Yeah,
do you recall?
If I were available.
Okay. So I go, okay, well, what about next Monday?
Yeah.
Because she also sent me a link. I'm like, okay, this is perfect. This is just not some random crazy person who wants to come in the studio. God knows.
I'm a legitimate crazy person.
Right. She's got a crazy person with credentials. But one of the cool things, man, and I will say this, and I hope the conversation goes off into some tangents about, because we already talked about Oprah, but laws of attraction and The Secret, because when she sat down, just started chatting it up. Next thing you know, we're off in one of those conversations. I'm like, I feel like Chris McCarty's in here today. I feel like Chris McCarty's sitting back there.
Maybe he is.
Well, that's that. If he was watching, he'd be like, good one. I am there. Don't you forget, I am. So, because I see Kurt has joined, and so keep that in mind too, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to have I've already got a bank of people like Kurt, and I don't really a bank. I'm letting you know right now that I have a stable. You don't know that you're in my stable, but you're in my stable, Kurt. Pat Largo's in my stable, and Corey Dillon is in my stable. So I know that you three people are solid. If I need you and you're available, you can come and do the show. I know the show will be fine. So I'm going to have a guest host every week. And then we'll have a host or a guest every Monday as well. We'll see on that second part, because that'll be harder for me to do. I'm not a good producer. And so we'll have somebody here in that seat to help co-host the show, and then somebody in that seat to just be a guest on Monday. So if you are interested, Mr. Schreiner, I'm honored, sort of. Well, I know that you're on this side of town, I think, every other week. So that's why you're one of my go-tos. And but yeah, that'll be fun. And then whatever. We'll go from there. So, before we move on, just remember, if you're online dating and you walk in and he's a short guy with cross-eyed and a squeaky, it sounds like Mickey Mouse. is already eating and drinking a bottle of fine wine, turn your ass around and walk right back out. Do not go on a date.
Actually, a good idea I was going to point out is to ask for separate checks. Because people usually don't meet out for dinner.
Oh, now, right in the middle, like, or before you guys even go out, go, oh, yeah, I'm looking forward to meeting you. Just let you know my policy in the first.
Just let the server know, because that'll avoid that whole situation.
Courtney says, Gail is my son's Gigi. Are you somebody? Does that mean godmother?
I am a granny. Yes.
Oh, you're an actual grandmother.
Yes, I'm an actual grandmother.
Okay.
He calls me Gigi. So.
Hi,
Courtney.
Aww.
So funny.
All right. So when you went on this date where this guy stood you up, this guy that we just highlighted here, was this before or after the book?
I was actually after, which makes it even worse.
Because,
like I said, I did not follow. Yeah. And embarrassing. I did not follow one rule in my book, so that's what happens when you don't read it and you don't follow the rules.
Okay, so what rule? Yeah, what rules are you talking about that are in your book?
Number one would have been I normally would ask people for some kind of either to see their Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, something just to see kind of what they're about. Make sure they actually are a human being. You know, you can kind of get a general idea of that. Also, you can Google somebody very easily now to find out a lot of stuff about them. Had I Googled this person, possibly another story would have popped up. You know, he changes his name a little, but you can even do an image search on Google. So because if you have to get that carried away, you know, maybe you shouldn't even be going out with the person, but it's a good idea. Well, I don't know.
Because here, I want to run some stuff by you. Right. Thank God that I am married in these times. Thank you that I am married. Thank you to whatever it is I think I believe in.
And I want to say anybody who is attached and married and whatever, you know, it's tough being single now. Oof. It's supposed to be fun. You know, I try to make it fun, but, you know, it's tricky. And if you have somebody that they might get on your nerves a little bit or have, you know, unless they're abusing you mentally or physically, try to work it out.
Yeah. So, you know, let's go back 10 years. 10 years or a little bit more in internet, when internet dating was first becoming a thing and start moving into the mainstream where more and more people were turning, you know, instead of going down to the bar, going to the church, going to the Publix, they're going online. Yeah. And so then it's a free-for-all. You know, it's like the Old West. You're venturing the new territory and people are trying to apply the old rules of dating to the new rules and this and this and this. But I can imagine now that we've been here 10, 15 years, that there are certain protocols, certain rules that pretty much anybody that's online dating follow. How long have you, when did you first venture into the online dating world?
Probably about 6 years ago. And I will say that it's changed dramatically just within the last couple years with the swiping apps. You know, Tinder and Bumble and all these kind of things. Now it's kind of like, you know, you're desensitized to human connection and you're just swiping. It's like a game and you're looking at people and everyone's filtered and, you know, we have all these Snapchat weirdo things and it's...
Well, as long as when I show up at your house, you're filtered too. You got the right lighting.
Yeah, as long as you have a puppy face on when you come over, we'll be okay. No, and guys do it too. I mean, I don't get it. Don't do that. That's another thing I want to tell the ladies.
And honey, I don't know if you're on the stream today, but I just want you to know, Lauren, I love you so much. Aww. Please don't ever leave me. Please don't ever kick me out into the internet dating world. So I would, like I said, I would imagine a lot of things have changed where, say, back in the day, you would feel it was rude to ask for a follow-up. Like, hey, I want access to your Facebook. I want admin access to your Facebook page. Right. And you're in, you know, in this and this and this. And I want 3 references. Like 10, 15 years ago, if you try to start, I'd be like, screw you. Right. But now we've been through enough where it's probably commonplace. Yeah.
And there's a lot of catfishing going on. You know, people just make fake profiles.
That's got to be fun.
Yeah, it's crazy. And I was talking to a guy a couple weeks ago that had that happen recently where he met a woman and they were going to the beach of all places and she was way heavier than she presented. She actually, he told me she wasn't even the same person at all. Yeah. So she was way heavier, not the same person. And, you know, he was being polite and he decided to just hang out at the beach, which, you know, that's a nice person. But at the same time, that person has already lied to you and been so deceitful. Like, personally, I wouldn't do that. And it's really not necessary. That's not being gentlemanly. It's just maybe leading her on for one thing. And, she already lied about who she even is. So
Right.
I don't see the point. But
So thank you so much to Single Source Insurance for sponsoring the first 15 minutes, which turned into 20 minutes today. The first 15 minutes of the Wake.Show. Make sure you give them a call the next time you need quotes. If you're sick and tired of dealing with the alleged, the big boys in the industry, and you want to be treated like a human being, not like just another piece of paper, then call Single Source Insurance and go to their website, singlesourceins.com. Thank you, Single Source. All right, now back to the items at hand. I know you were saying earlier you're not much into politics, so I just want to hit one of the because I got to find out exactly what time this is going to happen here because I want to see this thing. I don't know how this is going to play out. So Trump is set to meet with Kim Jong-un and this one-on-one this summit is what they're calling it. And this is coming off of a weekend where the president kind of upset the apple cart once again with our allies coming out of the G7. Some of the jokes, the satirical political jokes coming out of that was instead of calling it the G7, it was the G6 plus one, meaning Donald Trump. And I know for those of you that are huge supporters, I'm sure you're probably still behind him here. He does have some points. All right, I don't want to get into because I don't want to get into the X's and O's of it. Okay, we're here. Let's take a step back. Let's take a step back and just kind of again, not focus on the leaves in the tree. We're going to focus on the trunk. So coming out of the weekend, we're in a very interesting place. We basically continue to keep our allies at arm's length, and instead of the exact opposite which doesn't make sense to me, but we'll see how that plays out. So leading right into now, this is summit, and we'll go to CNN.com to pick it up here. When President Trump sits down with North Korea and Kim Jong-un for the first time, they will be alone, save for a pair of interpreters. U.S. and North Korean officials were still meeting on the eve of the summit in an effort to bridge the gap between the two countries and how substantively achieve North Korean denuclearization. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo said the delegations were rapidly making progress, but it would come down to the meeting between the two leaders. Quote, tomorrow we'll get our clearest, meaning today, our clearest indication to date of whether Chairman Kim Jong-un truly share the vision. The White House also announced Trump would be leaving Singapore earlier than previously expected and holding media availability ahead of his departure. So this is all right, my new age friend. What are your crystals telling you?
Don't get me started on this because my head might literally pop right off, which the viewers might enjoy. But yeah, I don't want to upset any supporters of the orange one.
Of the orange one. Fair enough. Fair enough. I can respect that.
I do like to ask his supporters to explain what he's doing that is positively enhancing their life, and
Well, they'll tell you first, look at the markets, look at the economy. Things are doing a lot better. I would also imagine that a lot of them will say, listen, I don't know the X's and O's of what he's trying to accomplish. And especially when it comes to this, what are traditionally our allies are it seems
crazy.
Right. But they'll say, listen, over the years, they have our allies and those we support have taken more and more advantage of our country.
Which is why we should be making stuff here, which I don't understand why we don't, but that's a whole bigger picture.
It is. It's a bigger, you and I, unless we sat, all of a sudden quit our jobs and went to school or went to someplace to study the world economy and how everything really truly works, we're not going to understand it. There's a reason. There's probably a really good reason why manufacturing's not here in America. It's somewhere. And it's, you know what just popped in my head? This is based on nothing but what I think I know and applying it to what I don't know. And that is, and this is probably true because the first thing that pops in my head is money. So it's because in other parts of the world, we basically can still have slave labor.
Yes. Of course.
We can continue to drive our economy off of.
Right. How come every time we have to make a phone call for customer service, you're usually talking to someone in India or something like that? Yeah, and it's sad.
So anyway, that's happening. I can't wait to see what comes out of it. I was hoping it was going to be televised, maybe even pay-per-view, bring in Dennis Rodman. But Let's bring in Eric Stratman now. I'm going to try to dial him up, and we'll talk to some nutrition today. Oh, can I have my pen back, please?
Sure.
And then you make sure, because you wrote some notes going into today, too, so we'll make sure that we hit everything before you get out of here. I like that. I'm enjoying that you're on the show, Gail.
I'm enjoying it very much.
I didn't know you had the same kind of crazy as Chris McCarty and myself do when it comes to the laws of attraction.
It's the law of attraction. That's why I'm here.
There you go. Laws of attraction,
Bingo.
The secret to the secret, all that good stuff. All right, now let's bring in Mr. Eric Stratman from T&L Nutrition Coaching. Happy Monday. How are you, sir? Oh, wait. Let me adjust my. I think it's on my end. Hold, please. I got to pump you through the system, sir. I got to pump you through the system. Yeah. All right. Let's go to sound. And there we go. Now give me a check test 1, 2.
Check 1, 2.
There it is.
Change lives.
There it is. Welcome, Mr. Stratman. How are you?
Good. Yourself?
Really good. And Eric, thank you so much for this. I have been gearing up for this for months. I think I've got the right things in place, the right support in place, feeling good about it, and started today and have not had any carbs yet.
Awesome. What'd you eat so far?
So the only thing I've had are the 2 eggs and the piece of cheese from breakfast, but I did bring with me, I think, a little over a cup of tuna fish with mayonnaise, full-fat mayonnaise, and a pickle. Excellent. To work. And then I figured I'd have this conversation with you, let you know some of the stuff that I bought. My wife bought at the grocery store yesterday, meal prep tonight, and kind of just, go from there.
Yeah.
All right.
Excellent.
Okay. So we've started the keto diet. What's the most important thing to focus on, to keep in mind day one?
No carbs.
No carbs. All right, good. I'm there. Awesome.
Super simple there. That's something that we've had it beat in our heads that let's keep it low fat and moderate carbs. But as we talked about last week, that it's such a mental change to actually transfer into eating a high fat diet with no carbohydrates. So we want to make sure that you guys are. What's that?
No. You keep going. While you're doing that, I'm going to bring up a picture I took this morning. Okay.
Oh.
Of me meal prepping, and wait, hold on. Who's you guys? All right, come on there, photos. You can do this. We can do this together. All right. So this is this morning. All right. This is me meal prepping. That is almost 3/4 of a cup of mayonnaise in a bowl.
Mm.
All right, that's after I put the tuna fish in it and some garlic sriracha or sriracha, whatever they call that stuff, and put some of it in a little container to bring it into a day.
Nice.
It did seem counterintuitive. I can't lie.
It's so yummy, though, isn't it?
Yeah, it is delicious. And I brought a pickle.
Right, and the other side of it is to keep the carbs in check is, as we talked about before, we recommend using MyFitnessPal, but if you're using that resource to see what you're prepping and how you're going about it, and one of the big keys I give everybody is to add it to MyFitnessPal before you even prep it, because then you can see how it shakes out and how it's going to work with your diet, instead of making something and then realizing, oh, this is not the way I needed to go, and you either feel guilty and you eat it, or you feel guilty because you threw it away. So it's something that we want folks to understand, that as you meal prep and as you select foods you should be eating, that if you put it in MyFitnessPal, or even if you're shopping at the grocery store, you can scan bar, read the nutrition labels, and make sure that you're having things that are full fat and something that is just a protein and fat source, not a carbohydrate source, or carbohydrates being very minimal.
How many days? Okay, so am I going no carbs period in the beginning of this, like for a few days, or can I have my cauliflower and broccoli and zucchini right off the bat?
Great question. So that's something we want you to stick with right out of the gate. So green vegetables, eat them up.
Okay.
So you can crush them. So cauliflower, even though it's not green, that's in that vegetable family there. But you want to do broccoli, spinach. I mean, a couple key things that I'll share with you is, like, I'm a big omelet guy on this format, right? So, but I'll take a pile of spinach and saute it first before my omelet, because I'm not the, hey, I'm going to eat this massive salad. I don't do that. And the same thing goes for kale. Like kale is one of those vegetables that if you got it in a salad, you feel like you had some like sandpaper, or somebody was playing jacks and they threw them in the salad. And
That's funny.
You have this this texture that's not very pleasing to me. Some people love it, and I'm not a big fan of blending that up. So what I do is put a pile of those on a baking sheet, hit it with a couple tablespoons of olive oil and sea salt, and bake them for about 15 minutes at 350. And you've got a bag of kale that you'll eat like a bag of potato chips.
Okay.
It's awesome.
All right.
I have a question for Eric.
And my guest today, her name is Gailey. This is Gailey Hanna. Eric.
Hi. I just want to ask you, is it possible to do this without eating so much fat? Like, do you
Negative,
have to eat the
Ghostwriter.
fat?
The pattern is full.
Oh, okay.
That's the premise of this diet is that we've been wrong to be so hard on fat over the years. Yes, there are certain kind of fats that you want to be careful with, but the good natural fats, because this is going to be different from I guess similar to when I did Atkins, right?
Yeah. It's a cleaner version, so to speak, than Atkins, because we're not going to try to add in a bunch of bars and supplements that are part of that program. But it's great she brought up that question, because that's where a lot of people, even as we talked about last week, they all of a sudden hear high fat and they're freaked out, because how long have we been brainwashed that fat's terrible for us? But the real epidemic is carbohydrates and sugar. It's not fat. Fat is what makes our body function and work correctly.
Okay.
It was weird. This morning, after my first meal, I had a headache. And I'm like, man, this can't be right. And then it dawned on me that I remembered that I had a bottle of wine the day before to kind of, that last drink, because there's not going to be much alcohol over the next. And by the way, how long do you want me on this? 30 days, 90 days?
We were going to look at a short 3-year period.
Wait a second. I thought the keto diet was short term, and then you have to segue into something.
Yeah. I mean, well, some people will actually stay on it permanently. If you feel awesome, I'm not going to say get off of it, because your body can function that way. We're meant to do it. But if physical activity warrants you needing carbohydrates, or as we get 4 to 6 weeks in, we talk about a refeed day, then that could be a way we go, where you would have 100 to 200 grams of low glycemic carbs, like maybe sweet potatoes and some other things that would refeed that. But that's not till we get at least 45 days in. We wouldn't even talk about that. But once you're 3-4 weeks into ketosis, you feel phenomenal, and your brain function, your body function, your body fat, your energy is off the charts as far as functionality is concerned.
Well, I'm excited, man. I'm excited. I'm feeling it day one.
It's exciting.
I'm feeling it day one. So alcohol, not even like
alcohol. That's funny you mentioned that. It's not one of those things you have to completely cut out. But I would go back to even referenced in paleo nutrition is kind of like the paleo margarita, where you hit tequila and lime. That actually has a chemical reaction that negates the insulin loading. And you're not having any carbohydrates. So
yes,
that and water.
You just
so
got a free
tequila,
pass.
lime, and water. Get after it,
honey, Lauren. Just go find BOGO tequila now. Find BOGO tequila.
BOGO tequila.
BOGO tequila. Oh, that's great. Oh, that's good to know that I can have tequila on this.
Yeah, so that everybody has every bar. You don't have to feel like the guy that's like, oh, just give me the water, or you're with a crowd that you might need a drink. So that's something that you can put yourself in a position. But wine is obviously grapes. There is some low carbohydrate wine, but alcohol is a little bit different metabolic effect. So I don't like people to dance around that to say, oh, I found a beer or a wine that is low carbohydrate. It's the other ingredients that will stimulate your blood sugar that we want you to stay away from. So, that's where we get to the staples of meat and fat, and green vegetables is going to be what you're really focused around over the next 6 to 8 weeks.
Am I going to be surprised in the beginning on how much fat I'm supposed to eat every single day? Because I know this first week I'm going to be as diligent as I can. I'm going to load all this stuff into the app. But I have a feeling like next week you're going to go, okay, awesome, great job. Now we're going to start tweaking things, fine tuning things, and I'm going to find out that I'm going to have to eat a lot more fat than I think.
Yeah, I mean, you believe it or not, it's pretty easy to eat the fat you need to. We've seen in a lot of the folks that we put on this that they're already eating plenty because fat is so abundant. It's such a dense amount of calories in a small amount of food. So it's super easy to eat the fat that you need. But we'll get into things like, doing a coffee that's going to have MCT, like medium chain triglyceride fats. You can add like cacao and salt, and you can add butter and these things to like a simple beverage like coffee.
I'm going to try that.
Coffee's a great, catalyst for those fats to be utilized in your system. So we like to, take habits that people normally have and just add to those instead of trying to create something completely new. Then also I'm going to have the nice folks at 10 Institute that's located right there in Tampa, over by where my gym was in the West Chase area, drop you off some exogenous ketones. I know that sounds very erotic.
Yes,
right?
it does. They massage you. What's erogenous ketones?
I was going to say, are those inserted?
No. So made me realize I had to have my last sip of my exogenous ketones. But basically, it's just a salt, magnesium, calcium drink that it's just a powder that you're going to have. And what it does is it helps your body to not only get in ketosis, but it helps to support the mineral deficiencies you're having because you're coming off of carbohydrates and going on to 100% fat. Because you'll read, and a lot of people will ask about it, and we were talked about it a little bit last week, but the keto flu. So if somebody is, because they're having this, and what it is they're having this depletion of these minerals while their body goes through this transition. So if we can have you replace those minerals right from day one, then the keto flu never happens and you feel great.
Really? Okay, because I know my next question has to do with, first of all, wings, because wings are meat and there's a lot of fat, but I have a feeling that the fried fats are probably not the ideal food in this diet.
Negative. It is not. I mean, if you had it fried and it had no breading on it, you'd probably be okay. It's that's where it gets tough to stay in ketosis when you restaurant a lot because you don't know how they prepare it. It can grab that, but that's where we talked about an air fryer. You can prep them yourself, or if you're at a gig and you want them to make you wings, grill them.
Right.
Have all the grilled wings you want,
yeah.
But you can't slam them with barbecue sauce because that's a sugar. But you can look at some ranch and blue cheese.
What about Tabasco?
Yeah.
Tabasco's fine. Some of those hot sauces.
And that's sriracha you were using.
That's sriracha. So let's talk about caffeine then. Because if I remember correctly, when I was doing Atkins back in the late 90s, caffeine was one of the things we weren't supposed to have because you're trying to trick your body into going into ketosis, and that can kind of mess things up. Is that still a thing?
Well, where the science is on that is caffeine will typically increase your craving for carbohydrates. And that's where they say don't have the caffeine. It doesn't
mess up ketosis. Okay.
The only other thing that can take you out of ketosis is if you added sugar to your coffee. So,
okay.
I think they were really focused on that because, it does increase your carbohydrate yearning a little bit, but not enough to warrant not having it. But when we can make your coffee very satisfying with a few drops of stevia, if that's what you're going to do for your sweetener, that has no bearing on your insulin. And buyer beware on that one. Only use pure liquid stevia leaf, not the stuff that comes in powder form, not the stuff you get off the shelf at the grocery store. It's going to be a health food store and Amazon buy, but we can post some stuff later about that. But yeah, I mean, when you're getting in your fats, it's amazing how satiated you are, how full you feel. You're not, dying for your next meal. It's not very restrictive like most of diets are, that when you're eating, you just want something good. I mean, it's always great to have bacon and eggs and enjoy it and, be able to have your coffee that, it'll be the most rich coffee you have when you blend some MCT oil or butter or both into your coffee. and be able to enjoy that. That's, a meal on its own. So you're going to be getting plenty of fat without a problem.
Okay. And then, so if you're going through that keto flu, you need some caffeine, you're okay. You go ahead and knock yourself out with some caffeine. Be careful with the diet sodas, though.
Yeah, don't have them.
Okay, no. Okay, no Diet Coke on this?
Sorry.
Because there's no there's no micro or macro there's no nutrients period in it.
So, the issue you're going to find is that it says 0 sugar, right? But what it's not telling you there is it's still going to stimulate your insulin and your blood sugar like regular sugar would. So why would you have something to throw yourself a curveball like that?
What about, I'm sorry to interrupt you, the different flavored waters, are they all bad?
I'm not going to say they're all bad. I mean, it's just reading the label. What are they flavored with? Is it a juice? Is it some kind of concentrate? But most of them, for the most part, are bad. Right. I mean, it's just not going to be something that you want to put in your body. But, that's the other side of going this route of nutrition, is letting our body heal itself with what we're supposed to put in it. And if you can get away from anything chemically created, right, then that's something that is going to be a huge difference to your success on this and the overall health perspective we're taking on this. It's not just a body fat, or it's not just a way to get leaner. It's a way to get overall healthier. Shriner
in the message or in the comment section goes, Chris, I told you to knock out the Diet Coke years ago. Listen, a lot of people keep telling me to knock out the Diet Coke. I keep going until I find that one person that goes, no, Diet Coke's okay. But I haven't found that person yet. One last thing before I get you off, because I know you got to go. Nikki Cooper from the comment section says, okay, just got
to follow along.
She goes, I just got out of the doctor appointment. All okay except cholesterol 238, HDL 169. Wants me on Zocor, so high-fat keto still okay, ?
Absolutely. I just liked her comment as well, looking at that. Because of the fact that the doctor's not changing anything from a carbohydrate, fat, or protein, not changing any of her macronutrients, I would love to hear the conversation that happened in that doctor's appointment about her nutrition. It's just not one of those conversations. We said that last week. It's not a conversation they have. But what she's going to notice is that even being on high fat, because she doesn't have the high carbohydrates there, it doesn't cause the inflammation and the issues that you have from that high cholesterol, from that high blood pressure that people get. It's actually from the high carbohydrate intake, not the high fat intake.
All right. And do you recommend her to, if she's going to go down this road with us, coming off, from the doctor, and she's obviously has some cholesterol issues, to make sure that she's following up with blood work, every 3 months, 6 months?
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely do it every 90 days unless her doctor wants her in more often or less often. I haven't had a chance to see what her condition is, but if we can prevent her from going on any medication, that's going to be a plus. And I think she and her doctor will be pleasantly surprised at her next visit. And if she wants to comment on what her next appointment is, and we can kind of keep an eye on that of where it went, because somebody that's just now chiming in on their cholesterol issues and a doctor is recommending pharmaceuticals over actually healing themselves through the nutrition, which is the first defense against anything. They don't, I would love to see how that journey goes.
All right. Well, listen, man, thank you so much. You spent 20 minutes on the line with us today, and I know you got a gym to run, so let you get back to that. But thank you so much for your help. And I would like to have you on again this week. Maybe it turns into an every Monday thing, but here in the beginning, I'd like to get you back on maybe Thursday. How about that?
Sounds good. Sounds great. Let me know, and I really appreciate it. And I look forward to helping everybody out. And if any comments you get, let's I can help review with you guys after the shows, and we want to get everybody involved that's possible, because we're not here to charge anybody for this, or it's just that journey to help everybody get a little bit healthier and take a stab at their health and their wellness from a completely different angle.
All right.
That's awesome.
Eric Stratman, TNL Nutrition Coaching. You can track him down on Facebook, TNL, The Next Level, TNL Nutrition Coaching. And I'll talk to you soon, man.
Guys, have a great day.
Bye-bye. All right. He's awesome. Gailey, I've started working out with him 15 years ago, I think, for the first time.
I just learned a couple of things, but I have a kind of a stupid question.
All right.
What does ketosis mean? I know it has something to do with the insulin level.
Yeah,
blood sugar.
Ketosis is when your body. We'll pull it up. Let me see how smart I am first.
Yeah, I could have done that, but I figured I'd put you on the spot.
All right, ketosis is when your body goes. It's a certain process, and your body is being depleted of something. I guess carbohydrates or something like that. So it goes into a certain mode, and it starts breaking down the fats in your body to give you energy versus waiting for that carbohydrates to come in. And before you get to a starvation mode and you're actually breaking down muscle in your body, you got to be careful of that. So, and then the ketosis, I believe, comes from ketones that get released in that process that are measurable. So then you can pee on a keto stick, and the ketones, depending on how many ketones are in the sample, is how dark the purple will get on the stick. So now let's see what is keto. Now let's type in what is ketose and find out how close. There we go. See how close I am. A metabolic state characterized by raised levels of ketone bodies in the body tissues, which is typically pathological in conditions such as diabetes, or may be the consequence of a diet that is very low in carbohydrates.
There you go.
All right.
You were correct.
Nailed it. Absolutely nailed it. Gailey, one of the cool things about having you in here today is the next subject we're going to talk about is we're going to get on laws of attraction.
Oh, awesome.
Okay, we're going to get on laws of attraction, the secret of the secret, and stuff like that, manifesting your own future. Sharon, Nikki, did your doctor say anything about changing your diet? Okay, so they're having a conversation about that on the message boards, and Nikki has, or when I say message board, I mean the comment section of Facebook. And you can also watch us. Thank you so much for joining us here at the Wake.Show. You can watch us on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, Periscope, Twitter, and Mixlr for the audio only, Mixlr for the audio only, if you want to take us with you when you are driving around. So I don't even remember how we began talking about this about 30 minutes before we went on the air. But next thing you know, we're talking about the secret of the secret, meeting Oprah, manifesting your own future, and this and this and this. And this is something that fascinates me to no end, and something that I've done a lot of thinking on, meditating on, breathing on over the past, 4 or 5 years or so. And I when I first read The Secret, and I don't know if you guys ever read The Secret or watched the movie. I actually heard some people say that the movie was better than the book, because the book didn't resonate with me. It didn't connect with me the first time. It's just quotes, right? Quote after quote after quote. And I'm like, what the hell is this? And I got rid of it. I don't remember how I ended up coming back to going, oh, I see what they're saying now. But, life events. And next thing you know, I started wondering if there was something to it. So how do you explain if somebody is they come from a traditional religious background or something like that, and you're trying to explain to them the way that you see the universe, the way that you think things work, where do you begin?
Well, I think that every religion basically is, it is based on, everyone has their own God that they've concocted, but it's all based on love. And I believe that we are all...
So we've all made up our own gods, but it all comes from a place of love.
Yeah,
okay.
Basically.
Right.
People will say there's, wars over religion, which is true. That's because man made the religion. But I believe that God is an energy, and it's the ultimate energy vibration of love. And we all have this in us. We are all God. We're all energy beings.
Can I stop? Yes. By the way, because I don't want to be rude along the way, but as somebody who does come from a traditional religion, even though that's not where I am anymore, I want to make sure I step in and interject at those times where I know somebody like me 20 years ago would be going, wait, hold, stop. All right, and I did this to Chris too, because I hear this a lot when we go down this path and I start talking to people who are a little bit, we'll call you, for fun, new agey, okay? Mm-hmm. And that is, we are all gods. What do you mean by that? Because to me, if we are all gods, then I can go, hey, you know what? I feel like walking around Mars. I can go, what?
But maybe you can, because we're actually only using 10% of our brains. So
that's not true.
That's a whole other issue.
That's not necessarily true. There's been a lot of research since that myth was thrown out there. Many, yes.
All
we
right.
use our entire brain. It's just not lit up all at the same time.
Okay.
So, so I've heard this about, Chris McCarty, who usually sits in that seat, says the same thing. We're all gods. Somebody else, a good friend of mine, Rex, who is out there. He is Talk about law of attraction. He gave up everything a couple, 3 years ago now and just lives off the generosity of everybody, of others. And you go,
That's great.
That's called homelessness. Kind of, to a degree, because he ends up in different places. Next thing you know, he's in Hawaii.
Depends on your take.
Right.
Your perception.
But he's very much into the laws of attraction, and the universe just keeps providing for him as long as he keeps being grateful and da-da-da-da-da. But he says the same things too. And he will say, and so will Chris, well, the reason that they consider us, we're all gods, is because we all have the ability to create. But to me, that's not a high enough standard for a god. What do you mean when you say we're all gods?
Well, see, and we're humans, so we all do have a different idea in our head. What is God? You know, some people picture God as a big guy with a robe on in the sky, you know, and then you have your Buddhist God and whatnot. But like I was saying, God.
Oh, Buddhists have a god too?
Well,
do they believe? I didn't think they believed in like a one god or like the Hindus, multiple gods.
Yeah, a lot of religions have, well, not a lot, but they do have multiple gods. So I just think God is the energy of love. And like I was saying, I believe that we are all energy beings. This is being proven through science, you know, in quantum physics more so now than ever.
All right, I've got to slow you down again, Gailey, because here's the thing. I'm on your side, by the way. I know that there's something more interesting and magical about the universe than I was originally led to believe. That's where I am right now. I lean towards the possibility of everything. True, like, you know, when you're watching those kids, you're a kid or watching those kids movies, like, you know, you can be whatever you want. You know, anything is possible.
Right.
Well, those things came rushing back to me years later as an adult, going, you know what? I think that may be true.
Yeah.
Because if there is something, why wouldn't there be everything?
Right.
You know, if there's going to be one thing with one set of laws, why wouldn't there be an infinite amount of things with an infinite amount of laws?
We are all alchemists, but we believe what we're taught, you know, through our lives and society and, you know, life experiences.
But let's come back to the laws of attraction and the so-called secret of the secret, because it's basically visualizing your own future. And the thought is, and one of the reasons why I like this too is because I used to apply the same concept, basically process, when I was a kid playing Little League Baseball. And before every baseball game, one of the things I would do is I would stand in my room with the lights off and the shades down. It's dark. I'd already be dressed, ready to go in my clothes and my cleats. And I would not have a bat in my hand, but I'd be in a batter stance. And then I would be sitting there in my room with my eyes closed and going through the process just like I was there. And I could see the picture in my head. Then all of a sudden I'm picturing the picture. I'm picturing the ball field. I'm picturing being in the moment, hearing the stands. I could smell the food.
And you're doing it now.
And you're just and you're there. You're there. And then he would pitch, and I'd start just swinging, right? Just going through the motions. And just kind of, that was part of my warm-up, right? And I don't even know where I ever got that.
Visualization.
Right, so that's...
And we know these things just being born, but like I was saying, we're taught differently. You know, and everyone's taught different things throughout the world from their parents or teachers or whatnot. But, you know, you do start to get taught that we're in boxes and we're limited by, you know, work and just what you're supposed to do throughout your life.
But think about it. Were you raised in any particular religion, or?
I'm just basically Christian.
Okay. So, but the interesting thing to me too, when it comes to the way I see that everything may be possible, I'm not trying to sell it to people like, this is the way it is. I'm telling you, follow what it's more like to say, on my journey in however many years I have on this planet, this is where I am right now. And that is, I'm thinking that the possibility of everything is.
Well, it goes back to Christianity, where, speaking from a law of attraction or more scientific perspective, prayer is basically faith, and your religion, depending on how much you really do believe in your heart, that's the belief. And, like what you were saying, you're visualizing it, and you are putting yourself with all your feeling into that place. And you did it so much. You really believed in your head this was going to happen because you knew it was going to happen.
Right.
And it did.
So a couple of things. One, so with that, because even coming from the religion that I was in, even that religion says, Christianity says, all things are possible, right? Everything is possible.
Right.
It just gives you a stipulation. All things are possible through the monotheistic, one God.
Right.
That's how all things are possible.
Right.
So even there,
just a different God.
I find some evidence even in the old text coming from our ancestors that everything might actually be possible.
Jesus, he was practicing the law of attraction, every day. It didn't turn out well for him, obviously, but look at the lesson he gave to humanity. But when I listen to Joel Osteen talk, he is actually speaking a lot about it. But putting it in a Christian context.
Well, I want to come back because you said, some of this stuff is being proven out with science now and quantum physics. This is where I have to stop you, because I also am a huge fan of science as well, and that is not a true statement. The statement that what is interesting is because of what we're understanding in quantum physics, for people like you and me and Chris and and my buddy Rex. It allows our brains to go, holy crap, the stuff that we've been thinking may actually be, within the quantum realm. We could see how that could be applied, because things will just pop in and out of existence, exist in two places on the opposite end of the universe at the same time, and be moving in unison, even though they're opposite ends of the universe, all those kind of things. So that does excite those of us that have what we'll call a crazy brain. And, that quantum physics will open up the door for those things that we think we already know. So taking that principle and then understanding a little bit about what the secret was later on in life, and then think about visualizing and manifesting your own future, I applied the same thing later on. And that would be not just sitting there in my room thinking about the baseball game I'm getting ready to play and picturing everything around, but I would think later on in life. I'd be 80 years old, 90 years old, 104 years old, and picturing being at 104 and at my birthday party and the people around me and the smells there and and the happiness that would go along with it. With the thought being, and I don't know if this will work or not. I don't know how this stuff, if this is all just mumbo jumbo. I guess this is more an experimental phase of my life, and we'll see where I am in another 10 years, right? But so where I've been in the last 5 years or so, it has been in that place of then visualizing things that I want in life. But my thought was, I'm going to do it differently than the people that I've been talking to, because everybody else seems to be focused on very short term, right? When I have these conversations, they want something now. They need a car. They want to visualize a house. They want to visualize this. And then I'm like, well, I mean, if there's anything to it, because, and by the way, Gailey, jump in anytime when you want to.
I was just going to say, and those things are wonderful, and we all want abundance and material things, but it's not just about, if you're thinking that to have the car is going to make you happy, then the car is not going to happen. Your visualizations are already bringing you to a happy place, and they have to do with family and joyous things that aren't materialistic.
Being old.
Yeah, being an old dude.
And still being alive. Well, my thought is this: if there's something to it, and you have to visualize what you want, and then trust the universe, trust whatever God, whatever it is you believe in, to then play it out for you.
Yes, the universe will bring all the components and every person that you need completely unexpectedly into your life. So my thought then was to try to have less control of what I think is going to make me happy now. Like, oh my gosh, I'm really hurting for money. Please bring money. I need money. I need money. And then I'll be so happy.
Right. Instead, trusting that this moment that I'm going through right now, there's supposed to be something else. Not me just sitting here going, oh my gosh, I can't wait for the next money to come through so I can pay my bills. But something different than that.
And another thing we were talking about earlier is gratitude and being happy with the place that you're currently in. Even though it might seem like, oh my God, this is horrible, going through something really difficult. And, and like we were talking about with an art and everything in life, which is also on the vibration of love, you have to have lightness and dark, because you can't see the light without dark. So like you were talking about the tattoo show that you like, you can't just put all light on a piece of paper on skin or anywhere. You're not going to see it.
Right. When she had brought that up earlier, what I told her was I learned that from Ink Master, watching Ink Master a couple years ago, my wife and I, and it jumped out at me because they were talking about how important line work is, the black lines within the tattoo. Without the black lines, all the colors just kind of fade into each other. And those lines, are what really help the tattoo pop.
It's so exciting when you do become aware and woke, as it were. This should be the woke show. That you start recognizing all these little things popping out at you, where normally if you just go through your life kind of oblivious and not in the now, you don't see these things.
You know what? It's funny. There is a show in town now called the Woke Show or something like that. And yeah, it's on the Bone, and it's in the middle of the night. I think it comes on from like midnight to 1. But I should get the host on. I know one of the people in the show, but yeah, we'll have on the Wake.Show will be people from the Woke.Show.
Is it about these kind of things, or is it just because insomniacs are usually awake then?
I think it's a cross section of topics, the topics of the day and stuff like that. But all right, so Sharon says, I think God gives you what you need, not what you want, and if you really trust Him, not just ask Him for things you want, and He will be there for you. And that goes back to the gratitude. I'm trying, and again, I don't know how this works. I'm not trying to preach anything or go, I think people should do this more, you should do that more. Because every time I go to, if my brain starts to go there, then I know that's a moment I should be turning the finger around back at me. If you ever hear me go, people should do this more, you should do this more. And we shouldn't That's a moment that I should go, that's what I should be doing more of.
Judging. And I can tell you a little experiment that you can do, and everybody can do. Ooh. Having to do, and it's funny because when I walked in here, I saw these pennies laying on the floor. You're going to think I'm so crazy, but I have a thing where
Gailey, I do. I really do. But crazy. I think it's the good kind of crazy, okay?
Yeah. I have a thing where when I see a penny on the ground, I believe that is my deceased husband giving me a little sign that he's around. But that's not what I think these pennies, because I was watching on YouTube the other day, and there is an actual law of attraction experiment that you can do that's very simple.
Should I get comfortable and start breathing?
No, when you see a penny, be so excited that you saw it and really have feelings of joy. Like, you got to really go over the top. I was going to be like, oh my God, a penny. I can't believe it. I'm so excited. I saw another penny. I can't believe it. A penny appeared out of nowhere. Like, I didn't know these pennies were going to be on the ground.
You bring up something interesting because, all right, this is one of the things that I also think is important. If there is anything to this manifesting your own futures and laws of attraction and the secret to the secret, if there is, what she brings up is important, because I knew as a kid when I prayed, I didn't get into the I would recite whatever it was I was taught, blah, 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 amen, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't until, as an adult that I realized, or I think I realized, I'm not telling people how to do their thing, is that did nothing or little.
You were just saying words.
Right, you're just saying words, because my brain would be someplace else too. It wasn't, they're saying the words, but at the same time I'm thinking about the homework for the next day or da-da-da-da, and then you're done reciting it and you go to sleep.
So basically you were thinking about your homework and stuff.
Exactly.
And really putting feeling into that instead of what your brain, the words were saying. You're putting feeling into, the homework and this and that and whatever. And that's what we do in life.
See a penny, pick it up, and all day long you'll have good luck.
Well,
that is if you believe that it's it's good luck.
So if you start acting like a crazy loon every time you find a penny, you're going to start seeing pennies everywhere.
So let's talk about visualizing, because you are an actress. I don't know what I am. I have no training in anything, but I know that I have a wild imagination. Not everyone is like us, and I know that if you have this conversation with certain personalities, they will just lose their mind. Oh, I'm supposed to pretend that I like this penny, and then more pennies will come my way. Yes, but it's more than just pretend. You don't fake in that moment. You really are trying to elicit those emotions,
right?
Draw
and the
those
more,
emotions.
Even though it's just a penny, the more you see them, the more you're like, hey, there's something to this.
Right.
This is exciting because I have control.
Yeah. So, and again, I'm not going to try to oversell it, because it's only been a few years that I have been able to see things like Gailey see things and like Chris sees things.
Because it's a constant journey of learning. It's wonderful.
I definitely was one of those people up into my 20s, if not 30s, that would have still, like Gailey, if you would have been on my show 20 years ago, I'd have been every other time, I've been joking at you the entire time.
Oh yeah, me too. And back during that time in my life, I used to blame other situations and why did this happen, and circumstances, and even if, like we were talking before, something is bad that happens, it really isn't bad. And once you can put yourself into that place of, okay, this is happening for some kind of good reason, I'm either going to get a lesson out of it, something fantastic, it's going to catapult me into a direction that I need to be in. If you can get past the hurting and staying in that place where you're sad, and you just get yourself into this vibration, and then you'll see other sad people and other negative people start coming around you because you're in this bad place.
Yep. I also, and thank you for being here, Gailey. This is awesome. She's an author.
I'm having a great time.
Well, she cuts hair here locally out of Clearwater. Yes. She's also an author. Wrote a book of or do you have to write more? How many books do you have to write before you're an
I guess you have to actually get a big publisher and appear on Oprah.
Well, there you go. Okay, then you're good. You've knocked it out of the park then.
Yeah, I appeared on Oprah, but not really for the reason I wanted. But
it
I did get to go on there.
Doesn't matter. You're big time.
I should have been more specific with my intention, I guess. My request.
Well, that's a funny thing too, is we don't have as much control over stuff as we think, and I think that's a part of the secret too, is that you really are a part of the manifesting your future is also an understanding, a basic understanding that you have very little control over it in the end, and that's a hard concept for us because we've been sold this. We have free will, and everything that we do is a choice, like this very absolute choice in that moment, and although. I mean, I don't know how, in the end, how that... I just know we don't have the free will or the choice we think we do moment to moment. Maybe in the long term, but not moment to moment. Sharon, from the message, from the comments. Fish, you are so right. When you believe good things happen, and she is correct too. When something happens, good or bad, there is a reason. We may not understand it when it is happening, why, but later we might understand it. I also believe that stuff's relative. I don't believe in the absolutes, I don't think, or maybe I should take that second part back and not worry about what I think about absolutes, because that seems pretty absolutist. But I think things are relative. So in a given moment where, say, you and I both experience some tragedy in that moment, we take two different things away from that moment. We come away, yes, it both impacted us and infected us, but the meaning of that moment could mean two different things to different people. That's kind of
absolutely.
Also, with me thinking the possibility of everything actually does exist, does come along, does allow for all religions to exist too. So if you truly believe in your heart that, whatever it is, go back to my traditional religion, that there's the one God and this is the dynamic in the universe and and that's truly how your heart sees it, then that's right.
Yes, that's right. Your reality.
That's your reality. It doesn't mean it's mine, though. You don't necessarily have to get angry at those that aren't doing things the way you think they should be doing them or see things the way you see them. You stay true to your heart. When it comes to that kind of stuff.
That is one human aspect that's hard not to participate in, is judgment of others. It's hard to get past.
It's easy to not do it out loud, but man, you're still doing it in your head, and the universe knows, or God knows, or whatever it is, because I can hear you.
Yeah, you're judging something as good or bad or whatever in your mind, and it's just human nature. So it is hard to get past that point, but.
So you say you're not somebody who was raised in this new agey kind of thing. You came from traditional religion as well.
Not at all.
You said it's only been 6 years.
Maybe like progressively over 10 years.
Okay.
I was telling you I saw something on the Discovery Channel about ocean life, and they were showing bioluminescent creatures way down underneath where they never thought anything could survive because there wasn't this energy-giving light, and it just, like you were saying, it just smacked me like, oh my gosh, this is the sea of life. We are all connected. Yeah, life can exist. And I don't know, I just started learning and watching things on YouTube, like I was saying, Wayne Dyer, and learning different things about, I didn't know law of attraction. That's just one aspect of laws going on in the universe that we don't see with our senses, but they're, there's stuff going on in this room.
Do you ever?
We have no idea.
Is one of the? Do you ever allow for the possibility that that none of that does exist? Like, we're in a kind of a delusional, we're slipping down the delusional, almost schizophrenic spectrum for those of us that see stuff like this. Do you ever allow for that, or you go, no, man, this is it. I can feel it.
Oh, if you can physically see these things, you mean?
Meaning that there is a possibility that what you and I are talking about does not exist. There are no laws of attraction in the universe, or at least not the ways that you and I are talking about it.
No, I don't believe it because I have had personal experience that has proven it to me that, there's no coincidences in life. And
it's another thing that Chris, the guy that sits in that chair, normally says all the time.
Well, it's the truth. So once you learn that, and like I said, you start to recognize all these symbols and signs from the universe or God or whatever, it's like, wow, this is cool. This is really happening. Well,
but you say that's a truth. That's a truth, a capital T for you. It's a capital T truth for Chris, that there's no such thing as a coincidence, that everything, there's or whatever, for whatever reason. But what about those who don't see that? They're complete atheists, scientists, and and they have their
Or
theories
it
of
could be,
chaos theory.
the devout Christian who's saying, no, that's wrong. There is, a God that is controlling everything. And if you're bad, you're getting put on the list. And if you're good, you're going to get put on that list.
Sure. Well, you're
So, like, if somebody were to try to convince me of that, I probably would not believe it. However, like you were saying, I do respect their belief, and that if you're praying to a God and you're all about the love, then it's the same thing,
So, do you have any examples of anecdotes in your life?
Yes, I'll try to be quick.
All right.
When MySpace was very popular, I had this Hurley baseball hat, and I thought it would be funny to make the hat a MySpace, this inanimate object. So, MySpace, you could make a background, and I chose black, red, and white skulls, and you could choose all your friends. So I put the top friend for hat as LL Cool J, and I decided he's going to be like a rapper, gangster kind of guy. He's going to be cool.
Rapster, I like Rapster.
Yeah, Rapster. Half rapper, half gangster.
Half
so
hipster.
I started taking hat around to like Jamaica and to taking pictures of him, like hanging out on the beach, and then getting people to wear them and saying, hey, can I put you on this MySpace? Yeah. So it was funny. So I didn't know where I was going with this. I was just having so much fun and laughing and enjoying hat. And like I said, the LL Cool J thing was going on. So
Hat's name was just Hat?
It was just Hat, yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so I'm flying back from LA. I used to go back and forth all the time, and I see this guy in first class, and something compelled me to walk up to this man like a cuckoo, and I said, hey, are you going to Tampa for some kind of concert? And he said, yeah. Do you think I could have a couple tickets? Okay.
What made you think that he was going to a concert?
I don't know.
The way he was dressed, or
no, not at all. I'm just normal looking guy.
Just a random
Yep.
question popped in your head, and
Yes.
you felt compelled.
Something made me go up to this person. I was with my boyfriend and everything.
How'd that make him feel?
Yeah, he didn't care. He knew I was weird. So anyway, the guy calls me and he says, hey, I got to ask you, how did you know even who I was? And I said, well, I don't know who you are. And he said, well, I'm LL Cool J stage manager. And I thought, oh my God, the hat and the MySpace, this is weird. Okay, cool. So we go to the concert. LL Cool J walks out and he's wearing a red shirt with black and white skulls, just like the MySpace background. So I'm like, oh, this is really strange. This has to be something to do with the hat. I don't know what's going on here. And this was, several years ago, so I didn't really know that much about law of attraction.
This was your introduction into the secret?
Yes. So I stay in touch with the manager guy, and I end up getting to go to the Rays game, go on stage. LL Cool J sings to me. My name gets put on the Jumbotron. It's great. I'm thinking like, wow, this is awesome.
Holy crap.
This law of attraction stuff is great.
You wasted it on a meet and greet with LL Cool J.
Yeah. So I have a doctor friend that lives in Clearwater, and he was developing a new vodka, and we were discussing it. And it's going to be filled with nutrients. It's really cool packaging and whatnot. And he said, yeah, we want to get a celebrity endorsement. I don't know how to get in touch with this person. And I'm like, who is it? LL Cool J. Bingo. I can get the stuff to him in 5 minutes. So get in touch with my friend who's the manager, and I said, hey, could you give this to LL Cool J? He calls him Todd. So he's like, yeah, I'll do that. So a week or so goes by, contact the guy again. Hey, did you show him the stuff? What's going on? I know he's going to want to do it. Well, no, I can't really bother him right now. He's in acting mode, and I don't like to disturb him when he's playing Sam Hanna. And I go, excuse me? What do you mean playing Sam Hanna? He goes, yeah, his character on NCIS is Sam Hanna. And I was just sitting there in shock.
That's your last name.
Yeah, and that is my dad's full name, Sam Hanna. So.
Oh wow, that is cool.
Yeah, and even the manager guy, I was like, "Are you kidding me? This is incredible! Like that cannot be of all the thousands, probably millions of combinations of guys' names in the universe.
Oh yeah,
how could it be the same as my father's? Like that is not a coincidence."
Well, it's like when they had Growing Up Fisher. A couple years ago on television, but it was a little blue-eyed boy with big curly hair, like I had when I was a little kid. I was like, "Oh, there we go. There's my life. Let me go watch my life." Oh wait,
yeah.
The dad's blind.
That's funny.
Oh, okay, it wasn't quite my life.
The point of it was that I wasn't really, LL Cool J was the focus without me knowing it, and I was just having fun. I was full of joy with this hat. I was flying to LA. I got to meet Jimmy Carter and do all this fun stuff, and meeting LL Cool J was a result. And basically, it's synchronicity is what happened. So there's, like I said, there's no way that's a coincidence with the name. So the universe, or if you want to say God, was showing me like, look, this is real. and this is what, not showing me, but it just happened.
Right.
This is what's going on. Like it or not, good and bad, we're all doing this all the time. So.
All right. Well, thank you so much for indulging me in a little bit of, the theories and how everything works in the universe. Between a couple of crazy people, but the good kind of crazy, meaning you can leave your children, your old people, and pets.
Yeah, we ain't gonna hurt nobody.
Right. All right, Gailey, thank you so much.
Thank you.
If people want to track you down or get a haircut from you, or
oh yeah, they can actually reach me on my Facebook. Gailey Hannah Hairstylist is the easiest way to contact me.
thank you for being my co-host today. I appreciate it.
Thank you for being my co-host.
And it was random. It was the universe that brought us
yes,
together.
It was. And it was awesome.
All right. Have a great day. Make sure you track down
Bye.
the Wake.Pups on Instagram, the Wake.Pups. That's the Wake period pups, all one word with that period in there, no spaces. And they are in here sleeping today, but I don't have any cameras on.
I didn't bring my Yorkie. I feel sad now.
You got a little Yorkie too?
Yeah, she would have been yapping at yours probably.
What's her name?
Bailey.
Bailey.
Yep, and I didn't realize it rhymed until it was too late, so it's Bailey and Gailey.
Aw. No, Bailey might have been a little, mouthy, but Roxy is the Yorkie whisperer. They would have been friends before
Aww,
you know it. So.
They're both so cute.
Have a great day. Be safe. Take care of yourself. Be kind to your fellow man. Chris McCarty will be back tomorrow. And most importantly, let your crazy breathe.
Happy thoughts.
Just a little. Happy thoughts.